need to be undertaken. So we'll be looking at them in this class, right? So as a product manager, you already know that you must always take feedback and you must always listen to your customer. So I'm sure you'd have learned that from me in this class, because I like to listen to you a lot of times, because it's always good to get the expectations and know what you need to do. So so the first question, right, and I think I just need 5 people, right? Tell me, what did you learn yesterday, right? So unmute your mic, tell me your name, and just run me through what you learned yesterday. You could paraphrase it, and that's totally fine. So who's going first?
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. So yesterday we started the PRD, that's the products requirements document. And it was yesterday that I realized that there's PRD, product requirement document, and there's product roadmap document. And so what I learned was that the PRD is a product guide, and you start making the documents immediately. You can conceptualize the idea. So you write, you make documentation of everything that concerns the product. It starts immediately, idea is conceptualized, and like throughout the product life cycle. So I kind of thought about it like it's like a kind of journal for the product. I know it's more than that, but that's how I like to think about it. So we started from looking at what the product actually is, like a breakdown of the product. Inside the period, there's also the target market, product vision, the strategy, problem statement, our assumptions from our problem statements. Then you talked about using a risk importance graph to draft your assumptions, to rank them basically. Then we also talked about the user journey. That's what happens before they encounter your product, during when they encounter your product, and after. And you said
Don't finish
if you
everything. Don't finish
sorry.
everything. Don't finish everything.
Okay, one last thing. Can I say one last thing?
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So another one that was really interesting to me was about finding out that there is user story and there's system story. I've never heard of system story before. So yeah, I'll stop there.
Thank you. So at least other people have things to give. So all right, thank you very much. Very nice. It shows you were really, really paying attention yesterday, and that's encouraging. Thank you for that piece. All right, who's going next?
Good evening. Yesterday I learned the EMUCDC feature sourcing.
Okay.
Where it aids it helps you to source for how will I put it now?
Future ideas, right? So
ideas, yes, the ideas. Then I learned the happy path, that's the assumption statement that captures the happy path, the unhappy path,
so the assumption
the alternate path.
Yeah, it's the same thing as acceptance criteria, right? So acceptance criteria is where you have those 3 things, happy path, unhappy path, alternate path, right? So that's where you are putting all of those statements. So yeah, thank you very much for that. Are you done?
Yes, I am.
Okay, very good, Francisca. So who's next? Yeah, who's going next?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Foma.
Hi.
So, hi, Sean. Thank you for what you're doing and how you're taking the class. It's really insightful. So I learned one thing that stood out for me yesterday was under the business stage. So this is part where you get to like help a business grow that is in crisis. So to analyze a business problem, you can follow the stages that you mentioned yesterday, the growth stage, the maturity stage, the decline stage. And I think one other stage, I didn't get that. I don't know if there are 3 stages. Yeah. So those 3 stages can help you determine how you can come up with solutions to help a business grow and make revenue and meet business goals as well. So briefly, that's one thing I learned. One of the things I learned yesterday.
Okay, very good, very good. I like that. Thank you very much for that. Who can tell me? I have a question. Let me see who has very sharp retentive memory. Who can tell me the 3 major elements within the problem statement? So the problem statement has 3 core areas. So who can tell me what they are? Fastest finger first. Who?
The problem, the solution, and the goal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Very correct. Very correct. All right. I really see that we have a lot of sharp people in this class. People are sharper than me. So let's go. Let's continue. Let's continue. I'm very impressed by the way you guys actually pick up what you learn. Very, very encouraging. All right. Yesterday we stopped at the point of prioritization, right? And I'm sure when you are researching, you would have seen as a product manager, you are the one that you must understand how to prioritize features. So for instance, you've sourced for all these features and you have about 150 features to build. Oh, AI intelligence. This one, wallet feature, card information, so many features, right? And then you're like, what can I start with? You have 5 engineers that you're working with, 1 UI UX, 2 backend, 2 front end, and you have 150 features to build, right? The only way you can know what to start with first is by conducting one special procedure, really, and that's called prioritization, right? So as a product manager, you're the one that determines 3 things. You determine what happens now. You also determine what will happen next and what will happen later, right? So you are the one managing the product roadmap. You are managing the user stories. You are managing the product backlog, right? Because there's a thing called the product backlog. So the backlog is where you keep features that you want to build later, right? So from the word backlog, it means that these are things that are pending, that are just waiting for your attention in future, right? So but what you're doing now is what you put into your sprint. That, oh, okay, this week or in the next 2 weeks, let's work on 2 features or let's work on 3 features. So those things go into your current sprint. Then other things remain in your backlog, right? So your backlog can either be in an Excel sheet, it could be on Jira, just a place where you can write all of those things that, okay, number 1, build this, number 2, do this, number 3, all of those features, itemize them, so that's where you put your backlog, right? So prioritization helps you to know what to actually do, right? Based on the resources you have available and the time limits that you have, right? Because you find yourself in so many scenarios. You find yourself in an organization where they have like 3 months to release a product, and then you have over 1 million things to build on that product, right? So you now ask yourself, what do I start with first? What should I do? People be throwing things at you. Oh, let's do this first. Oh no, I think I should do this first. You don't want to base your decision on emotions. All right. Remember, I told you during the design thinking class that as a product manager, you must be a logical person. You're not basing your decisions on emotions, right? One thing you should cancel out of your dictionary as a product manager is saying things like, oh, I feel like we should do this, or I feel like, no, you should not say that. You are basing it based on data. That, oh, looking at this customer research I carried out, we should do this and this. Oh, we did A and B testing, and that result told us that we should rather go with prototype A or prototype B. So you're basing all your solutions, your decisions, even when you're reporting to the management, you're talking to the MD, you're basing it on data, right? So let's have that at the back of our mind, right? So whenever you are prioritizing, it also means that you are not putting your emotions. You are prioritizing based on concepts, precepts, and processes that will guarantee the best results, right? And we'll definitely look at that in the subsequent slide, right? Now, the truth is, at each stage, you are delivering something, right? You are delivering so I'll give an example. You have a product, right? A functional product, right? And you want to update the product. Now, that update you want to make, it might be that you just want to add 2 features or 3 features. That feature that you're about to add, right? In some sense, it's also called the MVP. The MVP doesn't just mean the first thing you build, the first minimal viable. No, your MVP refers to what you churn out per time, right? So, okay, we're trying to churn out this. You could churn out a million things, right? There are so many things you could release, but you decide that, okay, you know what, let's focus on this minimal set of things. Now, what you're working on at that time is what you can also call an MVP. Awesome. So, and I'll give you an illustration. If you look at your screen, you'd see this illustration just to help you really understand what the MVP does, right? So let me know if you can see your screen.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Can you all see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Awesome. So the MVP follows this cycle. Now, say for instance, you want to build a car, right? The goal is for you to build a car. Now, your MVP doesn't start from you getting the tire, because the tire is not an MVP. The tire doesn't mean that, because the truth is, what makes an MVP what it is that it's functional, it can work, right? It's very functional. Users can achieve a goal, right? It might not be fancy, it might not have all of the other things, but at least people can move from point A to point B on that product and get their problem solved, right? So that's what an MVP is. Now, let me tell you this very importantly, and I'm telling you this based on experience. There's a thing called scope creep. Scope creep. You see it a lot also when you're researching. So it's called SCOPECREED. Now, what scope creep means is that you find yourself, if you don't know how to manage or prioritize properly, you realize that you'll be running in circles. You'll be working, and you're not seeing the results, right? And it's like a vortex, right? Because it just keeps going on, and you realize that you've actually not achieved anything, right? So that's why the concept of an MVP exists today. You can't build everything. You don't need to launch everything all together. Focus on the most minimal thing. What's going to be success for this product? And start with that and release it and learn from it, right? Because what you're learning will help you know what next to do in the next iterations, the other iterations you have, right? So remember, MVP must be functional. So if you see the narrations here, you see that the one at the bottom, you can see that at least this is helping the customer move. The goal of a car is to help you move, right? And the problem statement for a car is that people need something that can take them from Sokoto to Abuja, right? That's the problem statement. So if I'm giving you a solution, my solution is like, okay, let's build a car that can take you. And the truth is, the goal I'm trying to solve is I'm taking you from point A to point B, which is movement, right? So your MVP can start from something that the user can get into the vehicle and move, right? So you want to start from that. Then further, as you go on, like next sprints or phases, you now begin to add other things, right? So that's really the concept behind the MVP. The second thing you're seeing here, right? There's a reason why this is not working, and I would like to ask who can give. I really want to know who is the smartest in the room. Who can tell me why this particular flow, the one at the bottom here, is different from this one? We all know that this one is wrong because you can't, this is just a tire. A tire does not mean you have a product. This is just like a scooter, right? This is not functional, right? You can't start with this, end with this, remove, it's just so, this is chaotic, right? But this particular one, you have a bike, you have a bicycle, and then you have a car. Compared to this other one, who can tell me the difference? Why is this second one not an MVP?
Because
All
it's
right,
a
let me try.
All right, go ahead. One person at a time.
it's a completely different product. Like it doesn't follow, the last frame doesn't follow the entire like scope of the product, if you get what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who
Alright,
else? Who else wants to
So
try?
for me, I'll say the transition was very drastic. It just went from the bike, the scooter to the car, like no transition. Like
Awesome.
there was, yeah.
Can
Awesome.
I go?
Oh, yes, go.
Can I go?
Yes, please.
What I would say is, while it is also doing a similar function, the product vision is very different.
Beautiful.
For me, I think the 4 products are 4 different end products. The scooter is an end product for a certain type of movement. The bicycle is different than the power bike. They are all final products for different kind of movement. And you can't transition from 1 to 4 because they are totally different.
Perfect. I love that. Perfect. Exactly. You spoke my mind because what you're seeing right here
Okay,
is going
can I
to
say
argue.
something?
All right, go ahead. Yes, who wants to say something?
Okay, I think for me, what's catchy there is that at each point in time, the second row is a success. A successful. The first one is good that it can move on its own. The second one can move. It keeps transitioning like that. So at every point in time, like you said earlier, is a success. If you launch the first one, the users can use it and still get the mobility they require. So at every stage, the second one is a success.
All right. Thank you. So one thing I love when I like one of you said something around product vision. I love that a lot because you don't want to build different products. And you find this a lot. I'm sure you've downloaded bank apps. You were using this app, it was working, it was okay. Then the next thing they tell you to update it. Then you update it, you now see something different, entirely new. This one is not now even working because they want to make it fancy. They want to add so many things. They now end up not doing the thing that really solves your problem. Who has experienced this before? That you're using a mobile app, it was working fine, it was okay, it was satisfying your needs, and then they told you to update it. And after the update, so many things all together, you don't even know how to navigate your way. Who can relate? Put it in the chat if this has happened to you before. Yes. So you don't want to be that kind of product manager. I'm sure people who build those products, it's a lot of problem for them. So you don't want to be that kind of product manager that is building products that confuses the user and is too drastic. It's not helping the user stage by stage, right? So yes, I believe by now we all understand what an MVP is, right? Now we understand that this is how your products should develop. Your product should move just like the way that third row. It must be gradual, it must be functional, it must be basic, it must work based on the user problems you have highlighted initially. All right, so quick test. Let's do a quick prioritization task, right? I have 4 features. 4 features, right? Feature A takes a long time to build, but gives high value to the customer. Feature B takes a shorter time to build, but low value to the customer. Feature C takes a short time to build, but has a high value to the customer. Feature D takes a long time to build, but low value to the customer. So you're a product manager. what would you do? What would you build first? How would you start? So tell me.
Feature C.
So give me your sequence and tell me why you're building feature C first.
So
Feature C.
for feature C,
Mm-hmm.
I think feature C. No, I think my product manager don't do it.
Thank
So
you
yes,
for that.
I know that feature C would have to go first, right? Because I mean, it takes a short time to build, and then it has higher value to the customer. So it means that if you're building a particular feature and then you have the MVP ready, it means that the customer has something that is of value to them, and it's something that it won't take a very long time for it to build. So while the MVP is being prepared, right, you're making arrangements to build the feature A that also has a higher value, but also has a higher value as well. Right? You've already done your MVP, and then you are trying to add a feature that is also has higher value to the customer, and that can be added because it takes a longer time. So you can use that that period that you have the period that you have where customers are really like trying to test this and all of that to build the other function and activity, right?
Okay.
And then you also add feature B, right? Feature B now goes next. It's of low value, and then last is feature
All right.
B.
Thank you very much, Shamaka. Very correct. So who can tell me which feature are you going to build last? What's going to be the last feature that you consider? Who else?
Feature B.
Feature A.
A is going to be the last feature you build, right? So you're wrong. Who
I'll
else?
build D last. D.
It's going to be
perfect.
D.
It's going to be D actually, right? Because it takes a long time and it has the lowest value. So it's more like you're wasting your time. Imagine you taking 1 year to work on something that is not giving value to both the business or the customer, then what's the point, right? So very good. I mean, you guys are already product managers. Why am I in this class again? All right. So we have so many techniques. There's so many prioritization techniques that you can use, right? You have the rice method, and by rice I don't mean like rice and beans or something. No, I'm talking about it's called reach, impact, confidence, and effort, right? So if you research on this, you see how it works. It works like a table. You are going to be scoring the table, and then based on the scores, you are choosing what to build first. The highest scores would the features with the highest score would mean that you're going to build that first. The second is the ICE. ICE also means impact, confidence, and effort, right? Just a shorter frame. So same thing as well. Then there's the important versus urgent, right? That one is very common. People do that a lot too. And each of these techniques have their own pros and cons. There are some scenarios that this might not work. There are scenarios where it will work. But that's why you have to expose yourself to all of them first so that you will know where to switch. You will know when you should try method A or when to use method B. Then you have the T-shirt method and the Moscow framework. So T-shirt is more like estimating the time value of building a product and scoring it based on the time value. The third is based on value to customer. So M means must. So Moscow actually refers to three things. Must, should, could, and wouldn't. Right? You see that in the live PRD. So just have this at the back of your mind that these are examples of prioritization methods, right, that you can choose. So depending on where you work, you can decide, okay, let me use 1, or let me use 2 and 3, let me use number 3, let me use 4. You have the choice as a product manager to choose anyone, right? So this is the important urgent matrix, right? So how does this work? There are things that are important, but they are not urgent. There's some things that are urgent, but they are not important. There are some things that are important and urgent at the same time. So this is a basic way to prioritize. So you ask yourself that, okay, anything that is important and urgent, let's do it first, right? Anything that is important but is not urgent, I'll plan for it. what I'll just do is I'll schedule, I'll create a calendar, break it down, but I'm not doing it now. I'm not doing it. I'm just planning ahead for it, right? Now, on the other side, anything that is not important but is urgent, is not important but is urgent, you can delegate it. That, okay, let's outsource it. Let's get someone who can do it for us, right? Then the final one, anything that is not important and is not urgent, eliminate it, delete it. Why would you want to even do something that is not important and is not urgent, right? So that's to tell you that you shouldn't waste your time on anything that is not of value, right? So as a product manager, you don't want to waste your time because time is money for you, right? Because you have every time your line manager, the CEO is telling you that, oh, what's our plan for Q1? What's our plan for Q2? So it means that you must be ready, right? Your time is money, right? And just so you know, you're the one that tells the engineering team what to build. So the engineering team will get paid either they like it or not. But if you don't engage them and you don't give them what to do at the right time, right, the product is going to suffer, right? So that's why you have to understand prioritization very, very well, right? So we'll look at a PRD to assess that. I'll show you a framework I use, the one I love using from Sketch. All right. So let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
We can.
Awesome.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So this is the Moscow framework, right? And like I said, it's based on these values, right? Must, should, could, and won't, right? So must relates to anything that serves the product vision, right? The very essence of the product. So it's very important, literally. It's like the backbone of your product. There is a should. Should is that it relates to anything that would improve the user journey, right? But it might not be the crux of your products. So for instance, if you are saying that, oh, let us have Google authentication when you are signing up, right? Is a should because users can choose to use their email and password normally, right? But you decide that, okay, let's do this to help the user, just to make sure that they can sign up easily. Now that feature would fall under the should category, right? So must, an example of must is, for instance, you are building a payment product, right? If you are building a payment product, it means that there must be a payment gateway. There must be something that charges the customer, right? Right. So if you have a product that does not charge a customer and you are calling it a payment platform, right? It means that it's nothing. It's the cost is defeated, right? So those features are classified under the must category. Then you have the could. So the could relates to anything that is fancy, right? Fancy. So maybe you just want to have a feature that can help users know. Let me give you an example. Like, oh, I want to help the user know what the time is, or let me have an API that tells them the current price of Bitcoin, right? Maybe you want to include that on your mobile app, right? It might not be necessary, right? But it's a feature that's possible, right? So those features can come under your code, right? Because they are basically things that they already have an alternative, right? But you just want to use that to drive. They are mostly in the delight category, so you can call them delight features, right? Now you have the won't. The won't are things that you don't need to do them now. You just need to do them in future, right? So it does not fix any issue. It's not relevant. It's not important, right? So those are the things you put under your won't, right? So what you are going to do is in your PRD, you now classify the features that, okay, I have a customized car suggestion, which is one feature. That feature is that when a user comes on the app, they will see suggestion of cars that they can buy. So I did this for a particular product. It's more like an e-commerce for cars, right? So these features you are seeing here are examples of features I suggested for the hypothetical e-commerce, right? For selling cars, right? So you had the customized car suggestion. This is a should, right? Because it's not a must. You can come there and buy a car without any suggestion coming through, right? So verified icon for authorized dealers, same thing, should, because this would help the user know what to buy, but it's not the crux of the product, right? Same thing, payment integration, it's a must, because why would you have an e-commerce platform and people cannot pay for the product? So that's why it's a must. So all of that. So you want to highlight the critical things, the very critical things, and categorize them based on these taglines. So this is what the Moscow framework actually stands for, right? This is what the Moscow framework stands for. So you see the ones for code. Code is that, oh, KYC can always be done by other methods, but we can actually decide to get APIs that would fast track the process, right? So it's not a must, it's not should, but we could actually try that. So that's the way you use Moscow when you are prioritizing your task. Now, remember I told you that there's T-shirt framework. I'm going to get to a point where we're going to now combine both frameworks and get a better understanding of what to do. Let me let you know. You know that what we did here, it does not tell us it doesn't give us idea of the efforts. It just gives us idea of the value, right? Moscow is giving us value. It's not giving us effort. It's not telling us how long will it take to build it. And you know, I told you that you must factor in the resources when you are prioritizing. How many people are your engineers? What's the time frame, right? So the downfall of the Moscow framework is that it focuses largely on value, but effort zero, right? So we are not estimating the effort properly, right? Now look at this other one, which is called the T-shirt framework. The T-shirt framework by itself focuses on efforts. So it prioritizes features based on efforts. Now see what I did. Combined my features. So remember I told you that these are the names of the features I want to build. So the Moscow framework has its own taglines, right? So you have the L, M, S. So the reason why they call it the T-shirt framework is they copied the codes that are used. You know, when you are buying a T-shirt, at the back of that T-shirt, you see things like L, M, XL, like extra large, large, small, medium, right? So that's why it's called the T-shirt framework, because it's using those codes. So what T-shirt does is that you will categorize the features based on the time it takes. So the T-shirt codes are compared with time. So when you say extra large, it means that maybe it will take you 10 weeks. When you say large, it means maybe it will take you 5 weeks. When you say medium, it takes you 3 weeks. When you say small, it takes you maybe 2 weeks, right? So you are estimating time and using that to represent the code. So I'm sure you can see that on your screen. You can see the way that works, right? And you can see the rationale beside it that says, okay, this is going to take a longer time. And this is what stakeholder management also does, because you know, as a product manager, you are not a developer. So it means that you are talking to your stakeholders to estimate the time it will take. That, oh, okay, backend, how long will it take you to give me this feature? Oh, okay, to take us 2 weeks. All right, note it down. Front end, same thing. Combine those figures. Go to the next feature. Ask them, okay, this particular feature, this is what it's going to do. What does it take? How long will it take us to deliver this? They'll tell you, okay, maybe it will take us 3 days. So you note all of that down and put that under this T-shirt framework, right? And you put that rationale in front of it, right? Now, this is the holy grail. This is the sweetest part of prioritization. And this is why I love using this particular framework. Now, you're going to combine Moscow and T-shirts to get the accurate idea of what you should do as a product manager, right? So because you are combining them so that you have a better opinion of both value and effort. You're combining to get, you remember I told you Moscow focuses on value, T-shirt focuses on effort. Now, this graph or this chart is going to give us a logical idea of how we should go, because we know that this is going to, it has factored in those two elements, right? So, and the test I gave you initially, you'd see why the answers you gave me are very correct. Now, any feature you put here, and okay, by the way, just in case, if you don't know how to plot this graph, this is very easy. All you just need to do is you look at the graph, you can see that they are well labeled. So you can see high value, low value, must, should, could, won't. On the other side, you can see the t-shirt framework, S, M, L, XL. So you see those figures are there. So you come here, plot each of these things one by one and place them on the chart. So if any item falls under must and also falls under M, you put the box here. If it's a could and it falls under L, you also put that here. So that's how this graph was drawn. Right? So now what does this mean? This means that any feature that is here, it means that it is high value and high effort. It will take us a long time to build, but it will return the highest value to the customer. Now, any feature on this side of the quadrant, right, it means that it will take a low amount of effort to build and give us the highest value to the customer, right? On this other side, the bottom here, you see that it will take low effort, but return the lowest value to the customer, right? On this last quadrant, it shows that it will require high effort and it will return low value to the customer, right? So this is what the quadrant does. So who can tell me here, based on these 4 things, what should you consider first and what should you consider last, based on the analysis you're going to get from this effort value map? What are you going to build first and what are you going to build last?
We should build the ones in the top left quadrants, the ones that have high value and have low effort. And
Okay.
the last one we should consider are the ones that give low value but require high effort. That's the down right quadrant.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Right? Because it's like, why would this thing give me low value and stress me the most, right? Because you don't want to build a feature that will stress you and is still not valuable to the customer, right? So you can see that if I'm talking to my team, my stakeholders during our stand-up, and I tell them that, okay, we are building this, and they ask me why, I'm telling them that's based on these principles. I'm not saying, oh, I feel we should do this, or I think this one should be. No, you want to show them, you want to prove it. And this is the way product management works. You are very logical, you factor in all the variables. In fact, the truth about this is that what you just learned does not even work only for product management. It can work for your daily life, right? Or in a day, you want to go to the market, you want to plait your hair, you want to buy fish, you also want to take an online course, and you are thinking, oh my God, I have so many things to do. What should I start? This is principles that even help you with your personal life as well, right? And that's why when you're a product manager, you tend to live a better life because you really understand how to manage the resources you have and the time you have to do those things, right? So that's what this does, right? So I believe this is very clear. If you are very clear on this part, please put it in the chat. Let me hear, just type it very clear. Or if you need explanation, let me know in the chat. Right? Oh, beautiful. All right, beautiful.
Sorry, but I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
This is very clear. Thank you so much for the explanation. I wanted to ask, do we factor in risk as well?
Risk. You factor in what?
Risk, R-I-S-K.
R-I-S-K. So what type of risk?
I don't know, like maybe risk that could arise when building the product. Do we factor that in when we are prioritizing?
So the risks that are very critical for any feature, there are basically 2 things: value and effort. Those are the major risks. And do know that before you even build your products, you must have written the user story, right? And in the user story, you have factored in all the user flows. You've looked at every feature has length and breadth, all the assumptions, all of those things are in the user story. So before you even start to build, you already know the risk, right? And that's why before you come up with this, you have already done your consulting, you've done your evaluation of the time it will take and the value it will return eventually, right? So primarily. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, great. So like we all said, right? So it means that all the features that requires minimal efforts and returns maximal value, right? See that here. I've just highlighted that here. So anything that falls into this part becomes your MVP. This is now what you're putting in your sprint. This is what you're now focusing on and saying, yes, we're working on this now. Other things will come later, right? So the second segment is the one that gives you maximal value but requires huge efforts. So you can see the recommended action here. We said it's worth considering, but we need to break it into smaller chunks. So we could say that, okay, if this thing will take us 1 year to build, you know what? Let's break it into months. So every month when we're working on something, we'll do maybe 2 days out of those things just to minimize, so just to manage the time. So you begin to ask yourself that, okay, if this thing requires a lot of time, what can we do? How can we break it into steps that would be easy to achieve, right? So that's what this thing is talking about on the second field. The third one says features that returns low value and requires minimal effort. So this one, if your team is, when you have spare time, so for instance, oh, you've built a couple of things and there's free time to work on something, then this is something you will now want to consider. The last one is the one that says return low value and requires huge efforts, right? So this one, clearly the verdict is don't even think about it. Like, don't even think about it yet, right? So anytime you are prioritizing your backlog, this is what you want to look at. This is exactly what your goal is to come up with a roadmap of what you want to do, right? And that is what we just did on this call. We just broke down how a product manager prioritizes all the features that he needs to build. Right? Okay, so we'll look at metrics, right? So metrics is the next thing we'll be moving into, right? And I mean, the reason why we build metrics is because you must know what you want to get out of a product every time, right? Even in the product problem statement, you could see that we focused on what we intend to achieve, right? So we would have a quick exercise. Let's do a quick exercise. I wanted to do this yesterday, but today is a very good time to do this. I realized that the concept of what a feature is, a lot of people need to understand what it means. What would you call it? Feature, right? So I'll be showing you. So there are 3 tests that we're going to do, right? The first test is I'll show you a page, and you're going to tell me the features of that on that page, right? So I'll share a screen with you, and then you look at that screen. Everybody's going to take 10 seconds, maximum 10 or 15 seconds. Take your pen and your paper, highlight all the features you can see on that screen. And then we're going to, after 10, maybe 15 seconds, would look at who has the highest number of features, and so that's going to be the first exercise. The second exercise is, let me not tell you that yet. So maybe we should do that first. So I'll be showing you this. Now, this is a product, right? Who can tell me the features that make up this product? Now, what I'm doing to you right now is an interview exercise. I remember an interview I did, and I got the screen like this, and they told me, tell us, how many features can you see from this screen? So that tells you, it helps you understand how well you know what a feature is, right? What does a feature mean, right? So quickly, 15 seconds, your time starts now. Give me all the features that are possible from this screen, from just looking at this screen. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 6, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up, time's up, time's up. All right. Who's going first? Who's going first? What features are on this page? Who's going first? Unmute your mic and tell us.
All right, so I can see the top up balance, the transaction history, process to wallets, trading news, the socials, yeah. Then also the cards, all of the stuff at the top. They don't
Okay,
have a
so
description. Yeah.
okay, so from what you just said, I can see that on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe I'll give you like around 5, right? It means that you don't still understand what a feature is. So, but good attempt. Let's hear someone else. Who else? Unmute your mic and go for it.
Okay, let me give it a try.
Okay.
All right, go. Yes. Unmute your mic and go ahead.
Okay, I think you have your settings, like where the settings are. You have where the your notifications are, or your news are. You have your profile points. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Those are the features I can identify.
Okay, good attempt. Good attempt. All right, who else?
Okay,
I want to try.
I can.
Everyone was stuck at the same time.
I can. Should I continue?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Please go ahead.
continue.
There's the feature of the market distance rate, giving you an idea into how the market is flowing, then the profile, the icons, and then the price of different coins that could make you trade.
Okay. Okay, well, very good, but not what I was looking for. But thank you for that. Who else?
Okay, I'm going to try.
Yeah,
The
go for
prototype
it.
seems like one for a trading app. It lets you buy assets and trade at the same time. So on the first page, what I can see is you have your balance. You can top up your balance. There's a feature to top up your balance here. Then you can actually see the assets that you've saved. Bitcoin, you can see your alternate coins and cryptocurrencies that you actually like, or the ones that are trending. Then on the other page, there's a feature that allows you to see the trading movement. That's like the price action movement on the charts. They even have like time frames. There's the if I can see this well, there are minute time frames that you can use to see the price action movement. You have from 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 1 day, etc. You can also change the peer-to-peer coin. Let me just put BTC and USD. You can change it to other ones and also check their price action. Then there's transaction history, which lets you see what you bought. You can even see the wallet addresses, the status of the transaction, amount of what you bought. You can see the assets you bought, the date. Everything is documented there. So that's like a mini receipt there, and it's really accessible. On the title bar, we have trading news, you have social media accounts, there's a notification bar for you to get notifications directly from them. Probably if you don't get them via emails, there's a settings there for you to set your account. You have your own personal profile. Moving on to this page, you can connect your wallet, you can put your Bitcoin wallet there. There's a feature to buy, there's a feature to sell, send, and exchange. Yes, that's so basic that I can find here. I hope I got it right to tell this long list that I don't give that.
All right. Good one. Thank you. Thank you very much. Other people, you can put that in the chat. So yes, let's go again. So a feature, what does a feature mean? A feature talks about a capability, right? What can a user do? As minimal as possible. So, and that's why when you are talking about features, you start with things that says, as a user, I want to do X, Y, Z so that I can X, Y, Z, right? So if you're looking at this screen, you will see that there's so many functions, right? Now, the first function is a transaction history, which is the analytics. You can call it an analytics feature. right? So it means that as a user, I want to be able to see my past transaction so that I can know what to do next or get insights. So transaction history is a feature in its own. Now there's a buy, sell, right? Now these are, you can call it the trade feature. So it means that as a user, I want to be able to buy and sell, right? Buy and sell digital assets. Now that is one feature. So it means that as you're building this, you are building the trade feature. It will have its flow. So you're buying or you're selling. Analytics, you're thinking about charting, like you're seeing the past data, you're seeing the dates, you're seeing the status. So all of that come under analytics as a feature. So profile also is a feature. As a user, I want to set up my profile so that I can always log in every time I want to access my account, right? So it means that profile itself is a feature. So under the profile, you have where they would upload their image, set up their password, put in their names, you know, because it's a capability, right? And a feature can have sub features. You can have so many sub features within one feature. So within the settings feature, right, you have the password, you have other things, you have the email, you want them to be able to change their email in future. You want them to also be able to change their password in future. You want them to be able to do 2FA, right? So all of that, right, so basically when you're looking at features, you're looking at capabilities, right? What do you want the user to do? What action? What's the primary action, right? And then you now begin to narrow down from there, right? So, but very good attempts. I mean, you all spoke very, very well. You spoke very, very well. I mean, I'm very, very impressed, right? So what this really tells you is that anytime you're in an interview and they tell you that, oh, tell us how many features can you see on the screen, you first think about the capabilities. Okay, this screen, I have an analytics option, I can assess my profile, I can trade, you know, I can view trade history, you know, things like that. So you break down those capabilities, then you now put the sub stories under them, right? So very, very nice attempt, everyone. Now, second exercise, and this one is going to be unexpected, right? So let me call someone on the let me call someone to answer this. Who's going to be my lucky person? Chineye Stephanie, are you there? You can unmute your mic.
Okay. Good evening,
Yes.
everybody.
Yeah, good evening, Stephanie. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right. So take this test. What mobile app do you use? Do you use a mobile app for your bank?
Bank. Okay, I don't use bank app. Flutterwave. That's like the financial app I use.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, beautiful. So looking at the Flutterwave app, how many features can you highlight?
Okay. There is the transaction feature, allows you to send and receive money. There's also the feature that allows you to recharge your phone.
Beautiful.
There's a feature that allows you to pay bills.
Okay.
I'm thinking. I'm just trying to think from the top of my head because I don't have the application open right
Yeah,
now.
but very good at it. Very, very good at it.
That's basically it. Okay, there's also the feature to fund your balance, your wallets, stuff like that.
Okay, very good attempts, right? So, I mean, you were very straight. I like the fact that what you termed as features are actually features in itself, because each feature has a functionality. It's talking about a capability, right? And it is when you understand a feature, that is when you can now start to write a good user story. And then from there, you are able to map out the user flow. Remember, I showed you a user flow yesterday, right? And I broke down all the steps within the user flow, right? So all of that talks about one feature, right? So let's call one more person. Sorry, Fumi Olariwaju, are you there? Can I mute your mic?
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, hi, Shuri. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right. So, what's your favorite platform? What platform do you use in, like, when you wake up in the morning and you pick up your phone? What products do you use?
WhatsApp on my Bio app.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, okay. So, let's look at WhatsApp, right? So, what features would you say WhatsApp has?
Okay. The first one is to view people's status
Okay.
and also post a status if you want.
Okay, so the status is a feature. So
Yeah.
viewing, posting
And
will now be they'll become sub stories under the feature. So status is a feature, right?
yeah.
Then the messaging is a feature, right? Because under the messaging, you have the ability to send messages, receive messages, delete messages, mark messages, star messages, all of that come under that particular feature. So when you're building your user flow, you now see how we are going to map out the trees. Like, oh, if a user does this, this must happen. If a user does this, because it is still under the same umbrella. So status, messaging. Which other one can you highlight?
Creating a group.
Okay, beautiful. Beautiful.
Then calls, voice calls.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can tell you that right now at Meta, right? The people who managers of Facebook, or sorry, managers of WhatsApp, you have product managers that handle these different features because Facebook is so big, right? And each time they are working on how they can make it better, right? So that's why you see every time they tell you to go update your app. It's because every day people are studying how users are making calls. They are seeing how there's a time when you use WhatsApp, if you are making a call, it will not be clear. Before,
Yeah.
like, there was this time when even when you're making a video call, you have this delayed, it's always delayed, right? But now, when you're making a call, even if your data, if your internet is weak, there's something that happens where it reduces the quality of the video so that you can still talk, right? So you can still talk to the person, but you wouldn't have all of those breaks, that reconnecting beep that I used to hear every time. You see that now they are able to optimize your call in a way that even if your internet is poor, it's still able to allow you communicate. Now, there is a team that is dedicated to making that work, right? So that's why you need to understand how features work and how to develop features, as a product manager, right? So to be honest, you all spoke very, very well today. I mean, very, very good attempt. This is your second, I think it's your third week, yeah? And at least your responses show that you really understand the basics and, so yeah, let's go into more tougher aspects. Let's go into a tougher aspect. So now I'm going to give you a final drill. Now, I will mention a product, right? Maybe 2 words or 3 words. I'll mention that product. And then you will tell me what type of features you think that product should have. You highlight feature examples that you think that product will have, right? So once I mention it, you can take like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, think about it, and then give me your response. So first one, food delivery, product manager for a food delivery business. Who can tell me how many features that would have? A food delivery business, how many features would you have?
Like we should give a definite number.
Yes, just give me examples of features.
I don't know
Can
what
I?
they call it, but where you put your address, like I think that should be a navigation feature or something. There's also like the search. What?
Yeah, go ahead.
There should also be like if you're starting food delivery, something similar to Jumia Foods now. So yeah, possibly like there should be a search feature as well for you to search where you want to like order your food from. There should be there can be a tracking feature, like just to track your order, where it is. Yeah, that's all I can think of at the top of my head right now.
Can I
Okay.
try?
Okay, yes, go ahead.
All right. So in addition to what she has said, for me, I would say there should be a order feature where you can order for food. There should also be the food menu where you can check what they have available. So under that, we can have sub features for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then we can also have names of the restaurants or the eateries or the booker that are available and make food that you want. And then on that same food menu, we can have list of food available, drinks and all. So those are like sub features on that feature. Then we can have the settings. Then another setting we can have notification. Then we can have the profile where you can create your profile to enable you order easily. Have your name, your contact, your address, and every other thing that has to do with user data. And then the tracking, just like she said, then the make payment feature where you can make payment for your food. I think those are what I have.
All right, all right. Very beautiful.
Okay,
Very
can
beautiful.
I add to that?
Okay, yes, add to that. 5 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, there should be quality content, like the pictures. People should get to see the picture of what they are ordering, the picture of the food that they're ordering
Okay.
for. And then there should be delivery option.
Delivery option.
Yes.
Okay.
There should be delivery option. There should also be different methods of payment. And there should be reviews. Reviews, people would like to see the review from other customers that bought from you, so that they will know whether to go ahead and buy the food or not.
Okay.
And then there should also be like on other social media handles should be on that website too.
Beautiful. Okay, so who can tell me what the most important feature for a mobile app for food delivery? We talked about the most cool framework. What's the most important? If you're building an MVP, what do you think the basic feature should be?
Location.
Sorry?
Payment.
Okay, someone said
Food
payment.
menu.
Someone said
Ordering.
I think it should be to order and to deliver.
I think it should be the food menu.
It should be the vendor where restaurants and vendors should come and display what they have.
Okay. So I like the responses I got. You guys have given to me, right? So think about it deeply, right? And if you think about it, what makes food delivery possible? First of all, as a user, right? Before I can know what to buy, I need to be able to see what it is, right? So it means that the user being able. Someone is unmuted. You can mute your mic if you're not speaking. All right. So there is the part where the user must see what they want to buy, right? So that capability itself is compulsory. And I think that's even the most important feature, because if there's a payment option and you are not seeing what you want to buy, the product is useless. It's just like you having a tire and you want to build a car and the first thing you are buying is the tire, right? So, so it means that the first thing, which is very critical, is there has to be a food display, right? Because it means that I can decide that tomorrow, let me accept payments using transfer. Let me not integrate payments, card payments first. Let me just use direct transfer so that I want to see if people are really interested. And this is how you need to think as a product manager. you want to gather that resource as early as possible, right? So you build a product. There are so many things you want to build, but you want to focus on what will give you the real results. Now, for a food delivery business, you want to first know, are people willing to pay for something that they can get from their phone, right? That's the most important validation you want to make. So even if you don't have a payment integration done, right, you can decide to receive payments using transfer or other method, right? But you just want to make sure that you test that people can buy online, buy and sell, right? So you want to think from that level. So when you are building the product, you are building from the core down to the other things that are now very fanciful. So you can decide that, okay, let me give them a suggestion feature that whenever they buy, the next time they come on the app, they will see suggestions of other things they can buy in future. Maybe I noticed that, oh, you are a young lady who likes to buy chicken every time when you come on my app. I can decide to build a feature that can suggest other chicken types. Maybe I can give you grilled chicken, give you similar varieties, right? So that's another feature I could throw in. But those features are not important. The main feature is the fact that they must be able to see what they want to buy. They must be able to make that purchase, right? So that's the core of the product. Then the other things, the other capabilities now come next, right? So, but the truth is, once you know the real things that a user must do within your products, you've crossed half of the road. It now means that the next thing you want to do is develop the user flow, right? So there's an assignment around this for features and user flows, right? And I think with this, I think you guys are going to really ace that test, because from what I can see, people understand what features are, and you understand if tomorrow another product employs you and what they do is even different. Maybe they're a health tech platform, or it could be a legal tech platform, right? You must be able to think about features. You must be able to know what is the critical element of that product, right? So yes, so let's go back to our slide. So I believe that the only thing that is left for you to know for this in this class is metrics, right? Understanding that, okay, now I have these features, right? What are the metrics? How would I judge all of these features? And how do I know that I have succeeded, right? So before I share that with you, I think I'll show you just a second. All right. So there are so many metrics you can use as a product manager, right? So many metrics. There's a one called the Pirate metrics. The Pirate metrics is the one that starts with AARR. You know, Americans are very funny. The reason why they call it Pirate metrics is because when you pronounce it, it sounds as R, like as if you're shouting. So that's where it was coined, right? So Pirate metrics. So the first A stands for acquisition. The second A stands for activation. The third letter, which is R, stands for retention. Fourth one stands for referral. And the last one for revenue, right? And I'll tell you why this particular metric is the most important of all metrics. For me, other product managers might have other features that work for them, but I believe that the Pirate metrics is the basic thing. Like, you can never go wrong when you apply Pirate metrics. So you now ask, what does Pirate metric mean? How do I measure, how do I know what I'm meant to do when I'm using Pirate metrics? So I'm going to show that to you right now, right? So please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, you can.
Yes,
I
can
can see
everyone?
your screen.
Oh, okay, absolutely. So, all right. It works like a funnel, right? So Pirate metrics uses the funnel approach. So you can see that the lines reduces as it goes downwards, right? So the top of the table is large. That is awareness. Acquisition reduces. Activation is reduced. Retention reduced. Revenue reduced. Referral reduce. And I'll give you the reason why that is, right? So what this means is that as users move from the top of the funnel down to the bottom of the funnel, there is always going to be a churn rate. Like you're always going to have drop-offs, right? So when you attend a meeting and they ask you that, how you have 10,000 people that signed up, how come it's only 500 people that are paying, right? You are now able to tell them, okay, let me go and look at my funnel. Let me understand where the drop-off is coming from. And then let me know what I need to do, right? So if you've not even taken anything seriously in this class, I think you should take this particular thing very, very seriously, because when you are coordinating with your team, when you're talking with the marketing team, you're talking with the founder of the startup, or even when you become a founder yourself and you're talking to other people, right? You want to be able to understand the flow of your product, right? So this particular thing speaks to the flow of your product, right? So awareness. Before anybody starts using products, there's the point where they have to gather awareness. That's the point where you do your ads, they organize conferences, there's so many examples of ways you can get awareness, Now, when you want to measure awareness, you're measuring how many people you have reached, right? Then there's acquisition. So the goal of awareness is that when people see my adverts, they should be able to come on my website and transact, right? So it means that within your metrics, you are measuring how many people came on your website. You are getting traffic from somewhere. You are sending that traffic to another platform. As a product manager, you must know the numbers. That, okay, we ran a campaign. We got 20,000 people from that campaign. How many people actually came on our landing page to sign up? You must have that number. If not, then it means that you might not know what you're building, right? So because metrics help you to know where you might have been going wrong. What about if the CTA, the call to action button, is too small? So you'll be able to tell your UI UX person that, the reason why we are getting low drop-off rates is because our call to action button on the landing page is small. If you don't get data, you will not know this. You don't know you need to do this. Do you understand? If you don't get data, you will not know where to fix your problems. You will not know what you need to advise. You will also not know what features you need to build, because you are building a feature and you don't know where it is coming. Does it really drive acquisition? Does it drive revenue? Does it drive retention? Right? So that's why for me, I'm a growth-led product manager, right? And I know you guys will get to a point where you determine what level. So there are different types of product managers: technical, growth-led, product-led, right? So for me, the highest of all, right, and which is the best, is you must be growth-led. And what being growth-led means is that you are not building because you are building. You are building because you want the business to grow. You are building because you want customers to come and pay, right? So during your interview and they ask you, tell me about yourself. Oh, okay, my name is Shoril Lua. I'm a growth-led product manager with 5 years experience in this, blah, blah, blah. And then ask you, what does it mean to be growth-led? It means that you are focusing on metrics that drive results. You're not just building any feature that is fancy. You're building features that will drive revenue, that will drive growth, that will drive user acquisition, that will drive retention, right? So that's what makes you different, right? So awareness, acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, referral, right? So we've talked about awareness, we've talked about acquisition, right? Acquisition refers to how many people that come on the particular landing page. Awareness, you're talking about impression. Impression is what you measure at the awareness stage. Impression means how many people saw the adverts. So for instance, I did a banner and I put the banner in Lekki. So it means that everybody that is driving around Lekki are impressions. Meaning that, okay, I'm getting 1 million impressions per day because my billboard is in a place where 1 million people are looking at it. Now, out of that 1 million people, might just be 100,000 people that will come on your website and sign up. So it means that your churn rate is about 90% because you have about maybe 900,000 people that did not converts, right? So you want to measure those things so that you know what you need to improve. Are you going to tell your marketing team to improve their campaign? Do they need to use influencers? Do they need to change their messaging? Maybe the messaging is not attractive enough, right? Maybe the images are not catchy. Maybe it's the font style. So you want to, when you measure that, you know what to advise, right? So awareness, you are measuring impressions. So when you are running your adverts and you are not getting impressions, it means that you want to work on your adverts better. Now, the second thing is acquisition. So acquisition talks about people that sign up, right? So sign up, you want to measure how many people signed up on your website. So you can use Google Analytics to do this. There's Mixpanel. There's so many tools that you can use. There's Amplitude. So many amazing tools that can help you measure user behavior on your product. Now, what I've just told you right now is what makes a good product manager different from a bad product manager. A bad product manager will just build a feature, but will not measure, will not assess how are users using this thing, where are they going, what are they clicking, what is the issue, why are they not converting to the next step, right? So that's what metrics helps you to do. And that's why I love the Pirate metrics, because the Pirate metrics helps you to measure the flow, right? So once you leave acquisition, you are moving to activation, right? So activation means that the most important step in your product, how many people did that? I'll give an example. I gave you the food delivery business, right? Now, when people sign up on the food delivery products, I'll classify them as an acquisition. But the moment the user adds to cart, once they add to cart, then there's an activation, right? Because the goal of my product is that people must be able to buy, right? So it means that I must measure how many people signed up and convert it versus the people that actually added products to cart, right? Because that's the only way you can measure the drop-off, and you'll be able to know what you need to change or what you need to fix. So from acquisition, you move to activation. From activation, you move to retention, right? So retention, it means that how many people actually come back, right? How many people are coming to buy over and over again? So you want to also measure this clearly. Then the second to the last thing is revenue. You want to measure how much you've also made, because this is the most important part for the business, right? How many people transacted, right? And you are measuring this versus other things. So you can say transaction volume versus impression rates, right? That way you can measure how many people actually paid versus how many people that you even advertised to in the first place, right? So that's what metrics does. Metrics helps you to highlight where a problem can be lying and knowing where to fix it, right? So then you have referral, right? So referral means how many users actually invited other users, right? How many people talked about this product to other people, right? So you also want to measure that as well, because that way you know if your referral rate is better than the advert you are even running in the first place. Because referral is as important as, is the cheapest form of marketing, right? Because when people talk about your product to other people, you don't need to spend $1 to acquire that customer. It means that automatically you are like, it gives you consistent flow of users, right? And I'm sure you have heard of products that they never ran any adverts, right? They did not run one particular advert, but people kept, like, obviously, I'm sure you know about Eminem, right? Eminem is a perfect example of a product that their referral rate was the highest. Mm's referral rate is as high as 100%, because as someone active, so this is even a very good example, very, very good example. Now, Mm's activation metric is going to be that the moment you ask for help, is it give help or ask for help? I don't know which one, but I'm sure there are people in this call that lose money to MMM, right? So the moment you ask for help on MMM, you are considered an activated user. It means that you've activated the product, right? The moment you paid, you sent money, right? It means that they've gotten revenue. That's the point where they now begin to measure how much they've made, how much the product has made, right? Then the moment you refer MMM to other people, classify this as referral, right? So Eminem did not even need to run so much adverts to get the traction they got. So as a product manager, you also want to focus on referral, right? Because you want to reduce your customer acquisition costs as drastic as possible. You don't want to be running adverts for thousands of dollars. You want a product that will sell itself without you having to market it over and over again, right? So that's why the final element is critical, right? Awareness, acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, and referral. Put this at the back of your palm. Very important. Very, very important. I can tell you that what you are seeing on your screen got me into so many rooms, right? It broke a lot of doors, because when you're talking to a business owner, you're telling them that the reason why you are not making money is because there's a drop-off rate between activation and revenue. It means that probably there's a screen that you need to change. Users are having issues with payments, right? So you metrics, critical, very critical, right, as a product manager. So I believe that this is very explanatory. So okay, you hold your question for a minute. Let me show you a better sketch of what the pirate metrics look like. Now, this is what the pirate metrics looks like in effect, right? So you can see acquisition. It talks about awareness. So SEO, SEM, the blog, your campaign, affiliate marketing, billboard, even your salespeople, the salespeople within the business, what they're doing literally is to drive acquisition, right? Then activation happens on your landing page, which is this point, right? So your landing page is here. This is where they activate your product. So for instance, if you are selling shoe, it means that they must have added to cart. For instance, if you are selling a token or a particular cryptocurrency, the moment the user buys it, you've activated the user. So it means the user is no more just a prospect, it's now a customer, right? So you measure retention, and retention is where you say, okay, let us have an email sequence that the moment you sign up, they must get emails that tells them to go back, right? And I'm sure you see this a lot. When you sign up on Flutterwave, the moment you leave Flutterwave, they're already sending you emails to tell you that, oh, you've not uploaded your document, you've not uploaded your KYC, or they also tell you things about special discounts that would, if you come back, you'll be able to get a particular reward. So those things are to drive retention, right? So you also want to measure this and know what you need to do to drive retention. Same thing for referral, right? You can say, oh, okay, for every 5 users that refer people, they get a free ticket at the spa, or they get a discount or a voucher, right? So anytime you do that, you're driving referral, right? So as a product manager, you must, whenever they ask you that, please tell us, what should we do? Our numbers are reducing. We're not making money. What should we do? This is what you want to go. You go back to the flow. You open up the flow, analyze it. That, okay, tell me, how are you getting your customers? Oh, okay, we are running adverts. Okay, how many people came from the adverts? They tell you that, oh, we got 100 people. You got 100 people and you're not making money. That's why your marketing is poor. You need to improve the marketing. You see how you're thinking as a product manager. You are working based on metrics. You are looking at the numbers. You are following it. If they tell you that, oh, okay, we have good marketing. See, the name of our business is called Piggyverse. We're everywhere. We're on Big Brother, but we're not getting a lot of deposits. People are not paying any money. You're not, okay, let me look at your flow. Look at the landing page. Okay, how many people signed up? Okay, we had 90% rates of people signing up. All right, fine. It means that's working fine. You look at the activation. How easy is it for people to save? Is it a one-click process? Do they need to do like 10 things before they can save money, right? So you begin to assess those things, and then you now know what you need to do as a product manager in each of those scenarios, right? So I've done the gospel. So yeah, if you have a question, please go ahead. The person that had the question, please go ahead.
Okay, so yes, I wanted to ask, you said something around acquisition for the acquisition stage and then retention. When you were giving an example of the thing, something that they have to like pay for, something like an example. So if a customer pays for a certain product, and then the person comes back again to buy. I think that I said that's what you said, then retention. So what is the difference between retention and then revenue? Since I mean,
what's the difference between what?
Retention and revenue. The retention part is the customer is coming again to buy and pay for a certain product. The revenue is like customer is able comes to buy again. Like I don't know if that. I think that's what it got me confused at that point.
Okay. So what revenue does is that you are measuring sales volume, you are measuring transaction volume, right? So this is where you talk to your data analysts, and your data analyst is going to give you all these figures. They go on their dashboard. They have you know the right data to ask when you're looking at revenue, because anytime you think about revenue, you're thinking about customers, right? You're thinking about payments. Sorry, you're talking about payments. Now, for retention refers to people who come back to activate, right? So, for instance, and there are different processes. It might not necessarily mean payments. And I'll give you an example of products that have a very good retention rate. Very, very good retention rates. That's TikTok, right? TikTok has a very good retention rate. The moment you leave TikTok, they know how to get you back. They are showing you pop-ups. They are giving you in-app notifications that is telling you that, oh, your friend just shared a particular video, right? Instagram does that a lot as well. When the video goes on live, they will notify you because they want you to come back, right? They want you to come back over and over again, right? Same thing with Carrywise, right? Carrywise, after you've signed up, you've done everything, say you abandon the process, you see notifications that tells you that, oh, Christmas is coming and you've not even saved for your Christmas dress. Are you really serious, right? They're trying to retain you. They're trying to make you come back, right? So when you measure the number of people that come back is where you measure retention rate. So retention rate does not measure revenue. It doesn't measure payments. It just measures people who come back on your platform, right? So you could decide to, because as a product manager, you have the liberty to do as much. You can tweak these things as much as you can. You can decide that, okay, let me also measure how many people that pay, how many returning people, customers, that actually really activated payments, right? So well and good, you're allowed to do that. But retention, practically, in plain words, it means people who performed the first action successfully and came back again to perform that action. That's retention. You are retaining them. They're coming back. Revenue is talking about payments. Oh, we made 1 million naira first quarter. We made 2 million naira second quarter. So that's revenue. So is that clear?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Yes. So who else? Who has any other question?
Yeah, my own question is at the earlier part of the training or the class, you mentioned that a PM is responsible for the stages in the product development or something in that line. What next? The engineers will do, the CEOs and all of that. So my question is, if based on your data as the PM, you have some features that you want to put into the product, but the CEO or the executive do not buy into the idea, and you have already told them, showed them data, facts, and figures, and they still insist on having a particular thing done their way. As a PM, what do you do?
Fantastic question. Very, very fantastic question. This is a question a lot of people ask during interviews, right? So the context, you give them logic, right? You give them the basis to why you need to take an action, right? And then a stakeholder has a different opinion. Am I correct? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. So in that scenario, what you're doing as a product manager is that the truth is every organization you find yourself, you're always going to meet people like that. You're always going to meet people that will have a different opinion, right? And that is why you must always use data. Now, there's a thing called A and B testing. Now, what A and B testing does is that it allows us to examine two different opinions to assess which is the best at the most minimal effort required, right? So, for instance, you are telling me that we should use red in our landing page. Say that's what you say. And then I say, no, I think we should use blue, right? That's my opinion, right? And we both have, like, you have reasons to back up your red. I have reasons to back up my blue, right? Now, as a product manager, what you do is to run a test. You do A and B testing. So you simulate the process, present it to users, because you know you're not building for yourselves. You are building for the users, right? So you simulate the process, get data from users. Okay, 20 users, present these screens to them, allow them to make a selection. And based on the report you get, you are now able to make a much logical conclusion, right? Because the truth is that you're not thinking of emotions. You're not thinking of, oh, because you're my boss, then it means we must do what you're saying. No, you're thinking about what is right for the users, right? You're thinking about what is right that can drive growth for the business, right? So it means that your method must be clean, right? And must be based on data, right? So in that scenario, the best thing you do is run a test. They call it A and B split test. So that's where you now consult users, simulate the two scenarios, and get data and see which one has the highest rate, and then choose, make your decision based on that result. So did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry,
Awesome.
Mr. Adekombi, what is the meaning of A and B? Is it like an acronym meaning something? Is it
No,
alpha,
it doesn't.
beta, or something that's entirely?
No,
Or
it doesn't.
it's just A and B testing?
Yes. It's just to tell you that you don't do A or B, right? That's the idea behind it. So A and B testing.
Oh,
Yeah, so either A or B. So it helps with resolving issues with stakeholders. So when the stakeholder is telling that, no, I think this is good, and you know that, oh, you can't just enforce, you can't superimpose your opinion. So that's when you now suggest, okay, why not let's simulate this? Let's do a small test. Let's, and then get the data and follow what the data tells you, right? So hope you're good.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
All right, you're welcome. So
I have a question.
yes,
Actually,
go
two
ahead.
questions. Sorry, going back to what I was asking about risk. It was after you answered, and I remembered exactly what I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask, like, say in a situation whereby maybe you have a deadline, when you must deliver a particular product, and then maybe something like a developer got sick, or one of your stakeholders that is critical to the project gets sick. Like, how does one plan against that? And my second question was, I wanted to ask if for the assignment you could get like a criteria of what must be included in an assignment, so that we know, like, this is what we must do.
Okay, so I got your second question. The first question, do you mind telling me what's your first question?
I was saying that that how does one plan for okay, let me call them like unforeseen circumstances. Like maybe,
Okay.
for example, if the server breaks down, and meanwhile you have a deadline, or maybe one of your stakeholders that is critical to the project falls sick in the middle of the project. Like, how do you plan ahead for those things, because they can happen?
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, absolutely. It's not that they can happen, they will happen. They will actually happen, because the human context allows for all of those risks, right? Now, there's so many ways you can approach that. And that's why in an organization, they have a thing called succession planning, right? So that's why you see that in the engineering team, they will have junior developer, they will have senior developer, they will have middle developer. All of those things have a reason. It's because they know that there are scenarios where engineer A is not available, it means that there must be engineer B that can take up that task, right? And then when there is enough, when you're able to delegate to a good number of people, it means that even if a part of the team is not available, there's someone readily available to take up those roles, right? So, for instance, Flutterwave, the engineering team alone, they are over 50. Engineering team for Flutterwave, a lot, if not even up to 100. So tell me, do you think Flutterwave has something they cannot do? They will build it within a month. There's nothing they cannot build in a short time because they have the team, they have the resources, right? All they need is just tell us what to do. Tell us what to do. What features should we build? You know, so that's a scenario that must be taken care of by the organization itself. The operations is an operation question, right? Is the operation of the organization that will maintain that flow, right? To make sure that there's always someone to take up those tasks. So, are you good?
Yes, I understand. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so the second question, awesome. So, I'm going to give you a guiding light to it, right? But the truth is that what makes a person that scores 10 over 10 different from the person that scores 5 over 10 is that extra effort. Extra effort. You can't take it away from, like, you must be different, right? So even if I give you the word for word that, oh, write this, write this, write this, the truth is, the reason why some people will always score higher than the other people is because some people satisfy the questions even better. Some people go as far as giving you insights, giving you charts that back up their claim, right? Someone that does that, you can't give the same score to the person that just did the basic, right? So I'm going to give you a guideline, obviously. Definitely, I'm going to give you guidelines, but I want you to know that in the real world, there's nobody that is going to give you a guideline. When you get that job, there's nobody that will tell you that, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. You need to think on your feet. Today, we had a meeting at the office, right? And there were some things that were required of me to do as a product manager. I'd never done them before in my life. But because I had the idea, because I know that, oh, there's always a solution to every problem, I was able to come up with something and then attempt it, right? And that's what you would do as a product manager. You will not learn everything, right, at a go. But the more you do, the better you get. The more you do, the better you get. And that's why I like people who do assignments. Once you do it, you will learn. The next one, you do it again, you learn. It will expose you to other things, right? So just have that at the back of your mind, right? It's not an easy road for anybody. Let's digress a bit. For me, yesterday I had a scenario, family issues. I didn't want to come online because I wanted to deal with those issues first. But I mean, I had to come up for you because I know that what I'm teaching you today is not going to end here. It's going to take you for as long as your career exists, right? So I prioritized you because I know that, oh, there's nothing I can solve in-house. But I know that our conversation has a time frame, right? After I teach you this week, I have one more class with you next week, which is probably the Tuesday, Wednesday before the next phase, right? So prioritization, because I know that I don't want you to make mistakes that other people make. There are a lot of product managers that don't know what to do because it's a new field, right? There's no university degree that explicitly tell you, oh, this is a new field. So everybody's figuring it out, right? So people are learning from doing. People are learning from experience on the field, right? So that's why my advice to you on this class is that learn the basics. Learn the basics. Learn the crucial parts, the fundamentals. Learn it. Expose yourself to as much knowledge as possible so that when you get on the job, you know what to do. You have an idea of everything. As I'm still learning, right? Every day I'm learning new things. I'm perfecting my craft every day because learning never even ends. But the truth is that the more experience I've gotten, the better my life has become, right? The better, like the opportunities I get now are better than the opportunities I got last year. Because I've learned more, because I'm better, I'm different. You guys came on Web3 because you knew that there's something missing. The industry is changing and you're missing out. Jobs, the requirements for jobs are different. And you're like, there's something I need to do to earn more or to be a better career person. And that's why you're on this class at this time, right? It might not be convenient for some of you, but that spirit is what is going to help you. So even when you have your assignments, do it. Like, just be relentless. Go for it. Because I'm sure not everybody that started this course got to this point. So it tells you that it will keep happening, because not everybody is going to succeed, right? Not everybody is going to have $1 million, right? So the prize goes to people that really, really want it, people that are really relentless. Those are the people that, achieve their goals, right? And that's why I'm here today, because I went through this phase. I'm able to pass that knowledge to you. And I'm happy that you are encouraged as well, because imagine if I'd also given up while I was learning. I was like, oh, this is too hard, So just have that spirit. And I think that's what you need. You don't even need all of this grammar. Oh, this is OKR, this is metrics. No, you only need the right spirit, because once you are ready to do it, you will know what to do every time. You'll be ready to learn every time, right? So that being said, so I know we have, so 2 things I wanted to achieve, and I think I'm going to achieve it next week during our class, is teaching you. I think we've run, okay, maybe, do we need to do OKRs? So I need to teach you wireframing, right? And I think wireframing is going to be next week. Computer analysis, that's simple. I have something I can share with you that just explains what it works. So wireframing is very, very important, and that one can be a whole class. And let me show you what wireframing is. This is what wireframing means. So sometime next week, I will teach you exactly what it means to build a wireframe. All those things I was asking you that, oh, when you're building a product, what should you do? What are the features? I'll tell you how you are going to map it on a wireframe like this, right? This is what your UI UX person will now take, add colors, add text, make it fancy before engineers can come build it entirely. So as a product manager, you must know how to draft your idea. So I have an idea of a product. Oh, let me map out how it look like. So this is what wireframe works. This is how it looks like. So next week, we're going to look at that. So I think the 2 things I want to run you through is computer analysis, and then the other metrics. But I think I should just end it here. Next week, I think we can do that. We can do art framework, do OKRs, do computer analysis. Then we can also do MPS and Sean Early. This is a very simple. Then yeah, I think we'll do this next week. So questions. Let me know if you have questions, please. We can take questions.
I want to know if we need our laptop for the wireframe class. Is there like a software we should download, things like that?
Not really. Obviously, you need your laptop, right? So there is a platform I would suggest where you will be able to do your wireframe, right? So don't worry, when we get to that point, I will notify you. So it's going to be next week. Who else? Any more questions? So your assignment is that you have to pick any Web3 products of your choice, and you have to write out at least 3 user stories from it, right? And to build out the user flow, right? You have to build the user flow based on the stories you've composed. Now, what this would do is, when we get to the point of wireframing, you'll be able to know how to go about it. So for people who don't know what user flow is, this is what the user flow is. This is an example of a user flow, right? Now, there's a feature called payouts. Payout means people should be able to send bulk payments, right? Like a large sum of payments. Now, when you're building your user flow, you're starting from the beginning that, okay, when they log in, they click on payouts. When they click on payouts, they can do 2 things. They can decide to create a new batch or select from a pre-existing batch. So in your case, for your feature, it might be different. It might be that, oh, the first thing they see is the dashboard. Then the first thing they could decide to either view past transaction or delete a transaction or create a new transaction, right? So you map out those flows individually, and it's easy as ABC. So let me show you how it works. This is Miro, right? If you open a Miro account, it opens as a board just like this. right? And these are boxes. So they are templates. Miro has a lot of templates you can use, right? Once you sign up and you search for templates, you see a lot, right? So it's as simple as picking out boxes. So look at this box I just created. Then say, for instance, I need to create another box. I create it here. Then I map it. Right? So you can see that I've just made I've drawn an arrow here. So you can go further to expand the arrow, make it deeper, make it clearer, right? So primarily, this is what you're doing. If you're adjusting, you can go as far as adjusting just like this. So it's as simple as ABC. If you want to change the color, tap on it, go on the color menu, change it, right? See, very easy. You want to delete it, tap on it, click on the backspace, you've deleted it. So following that process, you'll be able to build a very extensive flow like this. That's all I need. So what you need to do is that once you've highlighted the features you need to build, break them down. Okay, what are the things that the user needs to do within that feature? Then map out the processes, right? So once they do this, what next? They choose a batch. Okay, after they choose a batch, what next? They can edit, they can maintain. Okay, after they do that, what next? So that's what the user flow does. You are mapping out the flow, the steps, the stages, right? So this would really, really help you for your assignments. Let me give you an example of what you can also do. This is an example of a narrative flow, right? So before you do the user flow, if you need, in fact, you even need to do this because it would help you to build a better flow. So you break it into steps like this, that, okay, I want the user unlocks their phone, they enter the wallet app, they add a new
Mr.
card.
Sean, your voice is low. I can't hear you properly. I had to leave the meeting and rejoin to see if it was from my end, but I really cannot hear you properly.
Oh, really? Is it the same thing for everyone? Can you hear me? Can every other person
I
hear
can
me?
hear you. It's better now.
I can hear you well.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I think it's just probably you need to change your device or increase your volume, right? So the user flow assignment is very simple. Pick a product, write the user story. I showed you how to write this user story in the class yesterday. Then if you check your resources, I added a link to, I was part of a program. So the PRD I built, I think that's this, right? This particular PRD document is in your resources. So if you go on your resources, you will see this particular document there, right? So go there, you'll be able to see ideas of how to write user stories, right? So once you've taken that information, you'll be able to map out an extensive flow, right? So this is a narrative flow. This is what you might want to do before you map out the diagram, because you want to break it into different steps. That, okay, what do I do in step 1? What do I do in step 2? What do I do in step 3? Then once you've mapped this down, right, you now go forward in building an extensive chart like this. So why this is important to you as a product manager is that when your UI UX person comes, this is what they will be using to map out their wireframes, right? In fact, this is what you would even use to develop the wireframe we will be building next week, right? So please let me know if you have any question on this particular area. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Sir, please, is it possible that Miro and the I think, is there an app? Okay, firstly, is there an app for the last slide you showed? Is it an app, the iUser?
No, this is sample. This is a sample on the internet. There's so many other samples you can use, right? So depending on the feature you want to build, yours might not start from unlocking the mobile device. Yours might start from logging in, right? Right.
Okay. I mean the platform you use to write it, to create the notes.
Oh yes, Miro allows you to do that also. Miro allows you to actually map out what do you call it? The narrative flow. So there are cards. So let me give you. There's so many options here, right? You can select either of this. I'm sure you can see this my screen.
Yes, I can.
So like so many things you can do on this that can allow you create a narrative flow. So here you can decide to type on it. My name is, so you can see it's Very simple. And it's interactive as well. So
Okay.
you can decide to also bring another one below it here. Right?
Okay.
So you see that from here, you know that it's not rocket science, it's achievable.
All right.
Yeah.
So is
So
it possible that Miro can work on a phone? I just asking because I've not gotten a PC yet. I'm just really waiting for it.
Okay, so this is the sacrifice you have to make. You have to go look for, I'm sure you have friends, you have relations, or even if it means you're going to a cyber cafe, right? Because you're investing in your future, right? So there's always a way. As a product manager, you know there's always a way. So just figure it out, right? But you need a laptop because that's the only way it can be clear. You want to see what you're designing, right? You don't want to spend 22 hours trying to build a user flow. So that's why a laptop is very, very, crucial.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Any other question?
Okay, mine is not a question. I'm not used to Web3 products. Can we use maybe our bank app or something to do the assignment?
Well, because Web3 is the connecting factor between me and you, right? Because this is Web3 ladies, right? But yeah, I would really love if you could use a Web3 product, to be honest, right? But fine, if you can't use a Web3 product, I'll allow you to use any other products. But I'd advise you, because to be honest, why would you be in a Web3 program if you don't understand what Web3 products do, right? So just do research, right? You're just 2 YouTube videos away from answering your questions. You just need to just see example of products that there are even Nigerian products that use Web3 oriented. There's Bundle Africa, there's YOLO Card, there's Nest Coin, so many that you can just sign up, see how it works, right? And then build your user stories from there, right? So yes, hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes. So I can see someone's
Sir.
hand. All right, go ahead.
Sir. My question is, we are just writing 3 user story, and you said we should make an extensive, what should I call it? An extensive user flow. I don't know. I've been thinking about that.
Okay. So payouts, for instance, is a feature. Now, payouts, if you check my documentation for payouts, it has its own stories. So within the payout feature, it says that, oh, as a user, I want to be able to send bulk payment to a lot of people so that I can settle or reconcile transactions faster. Now, that's the user story. Under payouts, the acceptance criteria could be that, once a user selects a bank account, right, they should be able to, they should get debited, right? That's one acceptance criteria. The second acceptance criteria is that if a user decides to skip adding a debit amount, they should not be able to, move to the next. Based on the things I taught you about happy path, unhappy path, and alternative path. So the user story itself is a task in itself because you're writing everything from the user types to the acceptance criteria to the story, then the user flow, because a feature, you're looking at a feature. So this payout is a feature, and everything here is under the payout feature, right? So let me show you what I mean. Before you can send money, right? Before you can send money, you must select a batch, a payout batch, the people you want to pay. Now look at the beneficiaries here. You must choose a beneficiary at this point. Then here, you must add a payment method. All of these are part of the payout feature, right? It's still within the payout story, right? You select your bank. You can decide to upload your beneficiaries. You can also decide to use manual entry, type the, so depending on the feature you're working on. The feature for this that's why you are seeing terminologies related to it. If you are looking for KYC, the flow is different for KYC, which I showed you earlier on during the call. So there's so many examples of flow. Okay, let me show you this, right? So this is for invite and referral. So look at how it works. You log in, you generate the invites, you determine if you want to write the notes within the invites. If you want to write the notes, give them the option to edit or create a note. If they don't want to write a note and they want to use a template, show them the templates. Then next step, how do they want to send it? Okay, send it to their contacts, or copy the invite link, or share it on socials. Once they do this, they click on send. Referral receives it. So that's the flow. So you're mapping out the flow. So everything here is talking about this particular feature, invite user flow. So invite is a story. It has its own acceptance criteria. It has everything relating to it. So even the wireframe for invitation is different because it helps you see how it would work, right? So are you clear now?
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sorry, does this mean we are going to have one flow per user story?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So it means that you're building 3 user flows and you're giving me 3 user stories based on the product you have chosen.
Okay, so I don't know what I have on top of my head. So we have features, right? And then there are like different user stories for a particular feature. Are you saying we are selecting a particular feature and then breaking that particular feature into these 3 different user stories, and then mapping out exactly for each of the user stories, like picking 3 different features, or a particular feature, we pick out 3 different user stories for a particular feature and then map out the user flow?
No. Okay, you're getting me confused here. So a feature has one user story. Now there are other things within the user story. They call them sub-user stories. Sub-user stories. So they are like elements under that feature. Now, when you're building the user flow is 1. So 1 user flow per 1 feature, right? So, but there are other capabilities within it. So, and I'll give an example. Now, invite user flow. What's the user story for this? It means that as a user, I must be able to invite my friends to use my mobile application, right? That's the major user story. Now, the sub-user story is that as a user, I must be able to generate invites, right? Another sub-user story is that as a user, I must be able to send the invite to, you actually have to send it before the person can receive it, right? Then another sub-story is that once you've sent the invite, the other person must also be able to sign up using that code or using the link you have shared, right? So all of these are sub-stories within the invite story. So, but you can see that it's 1 feature and it's 1 user flow.
All right, thank you very much.
Do you understand now?
Yes, I do.
All right. So, Ungozi, you can ask your question. I can see your hand is up. Okay. So, do we have any other question before we call it a wrap? Any more questions?
To write acceptance criteria.
Yes, of course, you have to write that. Yes. Yes. You have to write that. That's part of the user story. That's going to be part of your user story. So yes, it's very compulsory. You write the acceptance criteria. So
when are we to submit?
Sorry?
Please, when are we to submit?
I think you have Sunday. I think by midnight on Sunday you must have submitted. I'm sure they will send you an email. They'll send you an email on the deadline and all of the information you need. Yeah. So it's still the same thing as last week. So you have the same period of time.
I'm sorry, Sasha.
Yes, go ahead.
Looking at your chat flow, it's interconnected. Is our own chat flow supposed to be interconnected?
Yes, it has to be. right? It has to be connected. You mean these lines, right? Do you mean these lines?
Yes, please.
Oh yes, of course.
Yes.
That's why it's a yes. It has to be connected because that's what makes it a flow. Because you're showing me the processes from when the user starts at the point, the next thing they do, what happens if they choose an option. Do you understand? So it has to be interconnected.
Okay.
So do you understand? Yeah. So Ngozi, your hand is
Yes, I do.
yes. Ngozi, your hand is up. You can go ask your question.
I was the one that asked that
Oh,
question.
okay. All right.
Of the chat.
All right. So perfect. I think we really made progress during this class. Next week, note that we'll be looking at wireframing. I think I'll also talk about the product roadmap. Then I'll also teach you other metrics. That's OKRs, the art framework next week. Yeah, and possibly if we can look at career trajectory, things you can do in the next first 90 days after you finish the program. What should you do to get your first job? Things like that. I hope we have that time in the next class. But I think next week is going to be the next time we're going to meet again, right? So please do your assignments. Let me know. Text me on Slack, or you can text me on WhatsApp if you have questions. I'll answer them. So before we close the class, right? Let's just have give me a rating, right? What you've learned today over 10. What's your experience? I need to learn from your experience as a product manager. So your experience during the class, what did you learn? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your experience on our classes so far? Who's going first? You can unmute your mic. Oh,
I think the experience is really, really good. Out of like all the mentors, I think I prefer you the most based on your speaking voice as well. Knows how to draw your students in. It's very interacting, and you don't get tired easily. So
You
yeah,
say
you know how
wrong.
to.
You say I don't get
No, like it makes your student not get tired easily. Like you know how to keep their attention span going. You get what I mean?
Thank you very much. Thank you for
So
that.
yeah.
I think after this class, you people don't always know that I have to go and probably take shawarma or Five Alive because it's a lot to teach.
We should buy you shawarma. You deserve it.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, I just want you guys to just fulfill your dreams, really. Fulfill your dreams every way possible, because my dream got me to this point. So I feel like if your dream also brought you to this course, then it means that there's a lot you can offer, right? So, I mean, I can't wait to catch up with you guys next week. So if you need help, please text me. I'm always available to help you, specifically you guys. Nobody has access to me aside from Web3 ladies right now because I'm also very swamped with work, but I'm very invested in, your future. And I really know, I'm very confident that you guys will make me proud, right? So have a wonderful night rest, everyone. Enjoy your night.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.